love story between East German women and North Korean men. Korean school teachers in the United States discuss Korean education. Night markets in Taiwan. Korean baseball club in Saint Petersburg, Russia. Park Bo-hyun dreams of becoming the next Lydia Ko. Hello, welcome to Going Global. I'm your host, Song Se-mi. In Japan, the number of people aged 100 and above is said to have hit 60,000 this year. The oldest Japanese is a 115-year-old woman living in Shibuya, Tokyo. The number of people aged 65 or older in Japan has been increasing rapidly. People over 100 years old increased by 24 times in 10 years, but Japan is not the only country with an aging population. The entire world is talking about the impact of a rapidly aging global population. And improving welfare policies for the elderly is one of the urgent matters in many countries. Now, on that note, let's start off with our first story of the day. Many of you might have heard the story of Renate Hong. She married an exchange student from North Korea in former East Germany in the 1950s, but they had to be separated for 47 years due to political reasons. In fact, there are many couples who had to be separated just like Renate and her husband. And recently, Korean film director Cho Sung-hyung introduced their stories in her documentary film. Let's take a look.
When Renate was a college student, she fell in love with a North Korean man who had come to study in East Germany. She married him and had 2 sons, but one day, her husband was suddenly ordered home. At the time, China and the Soviet Union were going through diplomatic disputes, and Renate couldn't even go to North Korea. In 2008, she was finally granted a visit to North Korea. It took her 47 years to reunite with her husband.
Obwohl ich meine eigene Geschichte und auch die Geschichte der anderen Protagonisten ja sehr gut kenne, hat mich das doch wieder stellenweise zu Tränen gerührt. Also das
Korean film director Cho Sung-hyung tells the stories of 3 different families, including Renate's, in her documentary Loved, Engaged, Lost. These families had to be separated during the Cold War, which scarred them for life.
Und es ist eigentlich sehr traurig, weil es nichts mit den Menschen persönlich zu tun hat, sondern irgendwelche politischen Machthaber da entscheiden, die damit eigentlich überhaupt nichts zu tun haben, und das ist sehr traurig.
The North Korean East German families did not know each other until Renate's story became known to the world. They've been having regular meetings since then. They found comfort in sharing their stories, and the now grown-up children were able to track down their fathers in North Korea. Director Cho watched these families slowly and calmly for 6 years and caught them on film.
이분들도 이산가족의 아픔을 평생 가지고 사셨던 분이에요. 그렇기 때문에 저는 한국 사람으로서 이제 책임감을 느꼈고, 또 이분들 생애에 한국 사람이 뭔가 좋은 일을 해주면 좋지 않을까.
As the film reveals, some North Korean students started a family in East Germany, but it's unclear how many remain separated. The film Loved, Engaged, Lost received wide acclaim for addressing a part of history that had remained largely unknown. It successfully finished its 14-day tour in Germany.
Now moving on to our next story. Korean school teachers in the United States have come together to discuss effective education methods for young Korean Americans. They all agree on the need for an urgent change in Korean education to keep up with the changing generations in Korean communities. Let's take a look.
A group of people are acting as soldiers in the Three Kingdoms era of Korea. They also sing along songs about Korean history and learn the dance routines. Of the 9,000 Korean school teachers throughout the United States, more than 600 gathered together at this place during their summer vacation.
서로 이렇게 자기가 이런 방법으로 수업했더니 뭐 반응이 좋았더라, 효과가 높았더라 하는 거는 자꾸 공유하는 게 중요하다고 생각합니다.
교과서를 벗어나서 다양한 교수 방식이랑 그리고 또 컨텐츠도 더 개발해야겠다는 생각이 들었습니다.
Korean communities in the U.S., although the situation varies by region, is going through a rapid change, and teachers at Korean schools agree that Korean education needs to change too.
2세 교사가 아니면 또 1.5세 교사가 3, 4세 학생들을 가르쳐야 되는 그런 교육 환경으로 바뀌었거든요. 그랬을 때 과연 어떻게 하면 그 차세대 교육을 바르게 할 수 있는가 이런 것에 대해서 저희가 많은 신경을 썼습니다.
There are more than 1,000 Korean schools throughout the U.S. As South Korea's status continues to rise, more and more Korean Americans are coming to Korean schools to learn about their roots.
이중 언어를 하는 사람들에 대한 어떤 교육 프로그램을 개발할 문제, 이런 그 시대가 발전함에 따라서 그 생겨나는 문제에 대해서도 저희가 적극적으로 앞으로 대응을 해나갈 필요가 있다고 생각을 하게 됐습니다.
Currently, more than 50,000 students are estimated to be attending Korean schools in the U.S.
Now let's move on to our next story. Markets in Taiwan mostly open at night because the weather is hot during the day. And there are currently more than 360 night markets across the country. Night markets are no longer just for locals, but a must-see destination for tourists. Let's take a look.
This is where you can sample various Taiwanese foods and experience the local culture from the closest range. Let's take a tasty trip through the night markets of Taiwan. Ling Guowei, who's an office worker, came to a night market after work. This is the Huaxi Night Market in Taipei. But before she starts shopping, she pulls out her smartphone. She's checking an app that shows all the information about the night market. The hot weather in Taiwan is what started the night markets. There are more than 360 night markets around the country, and an average of 10 million people visit them each day.
你在夜市好玩的地方就是你可能就买了什么小吃，然后就边走边逛，就是拿在手上吃，然后就是一边再继续逛，然后看看可能再买个喝的啊。
Night markets are also popular among tourists. 78% of them make a visit to the night markets. Seafood porridge is one of the specialties of the Huaxi Night Market. This restaurant has been in business for 3 generations. Their seafood porridge has not changed for 94 years.
这个味道都是从阿公留下来的，就是照阿公的手艺这样传承下来。
This is where the 2015 Taiwan Culinary Exhibition was held. It celebrated its 26th anniversary this year. For the very first time, night market booths were created at the exhibition. Specialties of 14 different night markets caught the attention of many visitors. It's hard to walk past the foods that are cooking deliciously right before your eyes. The visitors can buy coupons or pay through transportation cards.
这边蛮好的，就是它这边有夜市里面很多很好吃的东西，然后这里一次都可以吃得到。我常常到夜市啊，大概1个星期会去2次到3次左右，大部分是去吃东西。
Night markets in Taiwan display not only the diverse local fare, but also the lifestyle of the Taiwanese people.
把台湾的小吃也能够带给全世界的好朋友，来到台湾旅游的时候，第一首选就是吃台湾小吃的夜市。
With their own specialties and features, night markets call the tourists out to Taiwan's vibrant nightlife.
Now moving on to our next story. In Saint Petersburg, Russia, there's a Korean baseball club called the Saint Petersburg Brothers. The club has already shown great potential and skills as they officially entered a regional baseball league in just 6 months since the club was founded. Let's meet the Saint Petersburg Brothers.
The baseball players are getting pumped up for the game. This is the semifinals of a regional baseball league. The team playing is the Saint Petersburg Brothers, a Korean baseball club based in St. Petersburg, Russia. 31-14, the Korean team won the game. The Saint Petersburg Brothers was founded last year by Korean-Russian Kim Jun-il. He gathered Koreans living in Saint Petersburg to create the club.
야구팀을 통해가지고 산인들 우호 증진에 도움이 되고자 팀을 만들게 됐습니다.
But Russia has a short history of baseball, so it was hard for the club to get necessary clothing and equipment. They ended up ordering all of them from Korea. They got the motif for their uniform from the South Korean national baseball team that won the gold medal at the Beijing Olympic Games. But the Saint Petersburg Brothers didn't have a place to practice, so they rented an indoor futsal stadium.
저희가 작년에 이제 가을부터 이제 야구를 시작을 해가지고 이제 겨울 내내 이제 실내 구장에서 좀 열악하게 이제 좀 연습을 하다가.
Physical strength was another problem. More than half of the players have never played baseball before. But after intense training, the club was able to join the regional league in just 6 months since its establishment and even went to the finals among 7 participating teams.
Большую борьбу команде Brothers, которая показала сегодня отличную игру.
다음에 마지막 경기가 그 리그 1위 북극성 팀이 남아 있습니다. 마지막 경기까지 최선을 다해서 가을 야구까지 쭉 한번 가보겠습니다.
The Korean Baseball Club in St. Petersburg continues to practice hard and focus on their training. They may be an amateur club, but they are as passionate about the sport as professionals.
Here is our last story of the day. Lydia Ko, a South Korean-born New Zealander, is the world #1 golfer who is making LPGA history. In New Zealand, another golf sensation is dreaming of becoming the next Lydia Ko, and her name is Park Bo-hyun. And at a very young age, she started to play in a professional tournament. Let's take a look at her story.
It's a windy day at a golf course in New Zealand. An elderly man arrives with a young girl. He takes out her golf equipment from the car. He is Park Ju-ha, the father of golf player Park Bo-hyun. Bo-hyun is here today to check her swings before a tournament in September.
내가 51에 얻은 딸인데 이게 제일 힘든 게 저 눈물을 머금고 야단을 쳐야 되고.
Although she's still young and only 160 centimeters tall, Park's driver swing is as powerful as a professional golfer. Her accurate driver is one of her greatest strengths.
네가 생각할 때 어깨 파고 완전 들어갔어? 아니야, 좀
들어갔어.
12-year-old Park trains intensely for 10 hours a day in the summer and 8 hours a day in the winter. But she still has a lot to get through.
힘들죠. 하지만 그래도 나중에 세계에서 우승이나 뭐 잘 널리 알려진 플레이어가 될 수 있도록 연습을 하고 있어요.
Park is the latest young golf sensation in New Zealand. Last year, she became the winner of the Auckland Age Group Championship for under 19 with the highest score among all male and female participants. In February this year, she became the youngest player to qualify for the New Zealand Women's Golf Open. The world is paying much attention to Park as she is walking a similar path as Lydia Ko, the South Korean-born New Zealander who's making LPGA history.
Bo-hyun has a lot of talent. She was a very dedicated golfer, likes the game. It's very similar signs to what Lydia Ko was showing when she was a similar age.
When it comes to golf, Park is more serious than anyone else, but she's still a young girl who misses her mother in Korea.
보고 싶어요.
Her mother's sweet voice brings tears to her eyes, but she tries to stay strong.
묻어. 여기 시합도 있고 해서.
Her father feels sorry for his young daughter.
엄마에 대한 정을 느끼지 못하고 커봤다는 게 저로서는 굉장히 안타까웠습니다. 그럼에도 불구하고 지 혼자 스스로 모든 걸 잘 해나가겠다 생각하고 열심히 하는 모습이 정말 대견스러워.
Park's father wants his daughter to eat well, but it's not easy for him to take care of her on his own. But Park never complained even once about the meals on the table. She seems to understand that her parents are doing their best to support her while they're not financially well off. She has even promised herself not to go back to Korea until she becomes a world-class golfer.
프로 돼서는 세계랭킹 1위 하는 게 목표예요.
Park plays with a set of golf clubs that Lydia Ko gave her. Going beyond the next Lydia Ko, Park will continue to dream of becoming the world's #1 golf player.
I hope you enjoyed the stories we shared today on Going Global. Charles Darwin was an English scientist who is best known for his theory of evolution. He was also an atheist. And recently, Darwin's handwritten letter confessing his rejection of the Bible and Jesus went up for an auction in New York. The letter is said to have an initial estimated value of about $70,000 US. And let's see who will eventually win the auction and at what price. Going Global will be back next week with more exciting and fascinating stories from all around the world. Thank you for watching.